Well, good evening, everybody. I'm glad you've all decided to take some time out this evening and a nice hot summer day here in Virginia to join us. We're thrilled to have Mercedes Grant and Bonnie Bradshaw here to talk about their experience with starting microschools. But before I get into that, my name is Craig DeSessa, if you don't know me. I am the Executive Director of the Virginia Education Opportunity Alliance. And we formed back in, I want to say, the end of 2021. We've been, Chris Allen, who just joined us, we've been pushing for school choice legislation in Virginia since 2015, down to General Assembly, and have generally not had much success with that. We did pass education savings account legislation twice, only to be vetoed by the governor at the time. And that was back in what, 16 and 17, I believe. And then, of course, the legislature changed up quite a bit, and we have been introducing it, and we've been getting people every year. We get more and more people to testify, especially people from your marginalized communities, demonstrating that there's a need and a desire for something like this. But unfortunately, there is a red line for certain legislators on school choice. So it's been a difficult challenge. So one of the things we decided to do is we really wanted to start promoting more options outside of public schools, but that didn't involve the legislative process. And of course, microschools, as we all know, had been around a while in different forms, different names, co-ops, things like that. But the concept of microschools really started to take off during COVID and is now, if you're not aware, has exploded across the country. You have all kinds of organizations, such as the National Microschooling Center. I get Facebook notices from different microschool groups around the country. We started recently the Virginia Microschool Network. If you're not familiar with that, we'll have Lindsay, would you put that in the chat, the link to that? It's virginiamicroschools.org. And the goal there is to try to help microschool founders and leaders network, also to provide resources for founders, for people to get started, start microschools, and provide, as I said, resources such as some legal support. How do you navigate? And I'm sure we'll talk quite a bit about that today. How do you navigate local regulations? Some places have been easy to navigate, others have not, and I think you'll be hearing about some of that today. So that's sort of generally how we got to where we are today. And Mercedes has been a very dear friend of ours for quite some time, and we're thrilled to have her. And Bonnie, I've just gotten to know a little bit recently, but I've heard a little bit about her story, and I think you'll be impressed with her perseverance and the work she's been doing. So I'm going to go ahead and before I say that, before I get them started, feel free to put questions in the chat. We do have some questions that were sent when people registered, and I'll be getting to those too. So they'll do their presentation, and then we'll go to the questions, answers and questions, or questions and answers. So Bonnie and Mercedes, take it away.
Thank you so much for having us, Craig. Everybody here, we're so excited to be here. And I am actually going to let Bonnie take the floor first as we share our presentation. But thank you for just being here and allowing us to be your guest tonight.
Hello, so I'm Bonnie Bradshaw, and I'm the owner of Royal Oak Academy here in Suffolk, Virginia. And my background, I started homeschooling. My oldest daughter is 38. And so I started homeschooling her preschool. And we tried the public school system. It was not a good fit for many reasons. We tried Christian school. There was, that didn't fit our family. We tried private school, non-Christian, that didn't fit our family. So homeschooling was it. I've been a foster parent for over 28 years, and we've had hundreds of children in and out of our home. We've adopted through foster care, some special needs. We've homeschooled children in foster care. We have homeschooled friends and family. And I never knew that there was such a thing as a microschool until I ran across KPOD. So I was doing a deep dive Google search, and of course, several different microschool programs came up, and something just drew me to KPOD. After so much research, I was, this is it. I've got to do this, and not realizing or having hope that they would choose our school and choose me. They did, and they have been such a support. And I met Mercedes. I've been to her school several times with my children, and they just love her. So we began Royal Oak Academy. Me being naive and thinking it was going to be so easy. I talked with my pastor, and yes, that's a good idea. You know, we want the church used every day of the week. So yes, this was a thing. I advertised everything for the church location. It's in a rural area, lots of farming and things like that. So filled out all the paperwork. Didn't see, I wasn't in a big hurry because we just knew this was a done deal with the church. And filled out the paperwork for the city, and wow, my eyes were opened up, wide open. It's been a lot to deal with the city, the paperwork, and it's one city will say one thing and another city will say something else. And of course, our city says something else. And um, after paying the $860 and filling out the application and sending it in, we found out the church is a no-go. One of the things is we are on well water and not city water, and they do not plan on putting city water down Manning Road. Another thing is driving from asphalt into a large rocky parking lot. They didn't like that. So they wanted me to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on concrete. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The fire department says that we have a pond, but that's not permanent. They're not allowed to use the well, and a tanker truck is not permanent. So that kind of put the nail in the coffin right there. But our heart and our passion is education, children, and giving them what they're not getting in other educational settings. So we want to come alongside families. We have several signed up. We've been very fortunate. I have sent out letters and letters and talking and stopping by and checking out places. One of our, and I don't want to give too much away for where we're going because that's just going to be another hurdle. But we have had a city director of the library contact us, and he's helping us a great deal. I have had another church contact me, which is right around the corner from my house. Yay. And they're interested in having a deeper conversation about Royal Oak Academy and their facility. So I'm happy about that. But we are continuing to look for a permanent home. And until we've signed on the dotted line, my search continues. So who we are, this is Anthony, as you can see, Anthony and Laura. Laura's from Madrid, Spain, and she is actually engaged to my son, Anthony, and both of them, Lauda just received her degree in art restoration. She'll be teaching Spanish, of course, that's her native language, and art. And then Anthony, of course, he's a music major, so he's going to be teaching our music. And then I have everything else. So this is 3 of my children right here in the picture. And I guess you go to the next one, Mercedes. So we may be small. There's 6, 7 of us now, but we may be small, but we're very, very active. And this is one of the most incredible experiences we did have, the christening of the USS Arkansas, and that was the coldest day of the year, I have to say. But we stayed, as you can tell in one of the pictures, it was cold. But we bundled up and it was amazing. So, like I said, we're very active. This one little picture where the children are praying, we were getting ready to eat, that's actually our church fellowship hall. And of course, we were out playing, having a parents' night out. And then another one, we were at the library doing some art projects. So we love art and we love creating. So we have theater, music, art, enrichment classes, and we just keep adding and adding. We have special guests coming in from all over the city. Um, they're going to be teaching the children different things, giving things away. So we're excited. We're very excited. So this is more of what we're doing. We spend a lot of time in the library. The children love research papers, and of course, I love reading them. And that's just more of what we do. Some of our visits to Smithfield, that's kind of our favorite little town to go to. So, and we support the Boy Scouts, and this is just some other places that we've been to. Now we are fully tuition based, so we don't have any income coming in from government grants. We do have one grant that we have received, a $500 grant that was very nice to use for school supplies. So our experience with the city still continues, and we don't know what's right around the corner or where we're going to land, but we're enjoying the journey and we're learning.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Bonnie has been a direct mentee of mine for, gosh, almost, I think it's been 9 months now. And I'm just like thrilled because she has made so much progress despite so many challenges. And to see that she is going to be able to open her doors and do what she's passionate about makes me very, very excited for her. It is definitely a gift. So I'm just really proud of you, Bonnie. And to piggyback off what she said, I open Path of Life Learning. I'm in Yorktown, Virginia. I actually also went through KaiPod Catalyst program. I was in the public school system. My journey is a little bit different. I was in the public school system as a special education teacher, and I was working through the system through COVID. And so as a military spouse, I have worked in several different states as a school teacher and leader in education. And after COVID and the way that things were being handled and the way that I saw kids like really, really suffering, I started Google searching frantically, like, where are teachers going? And there were so many options out there. Lots of teachers went to ed tech or they went to corporate America. And then I came across this podcast, Carrie McDonald's podcast, and it talked about KaiPod Catalyst and a way for me to be able to jumpstart opening a micro school and to get all of the mentorship directly through them. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm quitting my job tomorrow. It's done. I am going to open one of these things called a micro school. So I am a mom of two amazing children. I've been an active duty Army spouse for over 14 years. I definitely questioned my impact for the entire time that I was in education. and I kept hitting a wall. Like every time I would try to have a deeper impact with the students or the families, it was like I was hitting a wall. And my impact was very intentional to really only help kids take tests better. And that is not why I got into education. So I was very disappointed in what I actually found. So since I opened when I came here in Virginia in July of 2022, I started tutoring and offering homeschool classes and just really getting in touch with my community. I really wanted to find out, number one, what are homeschoolers doing? How are they different? And are they really as weird as I think they are? I found out very quickly it's not as weird. It's actually much brighter on this side. And then I just started serving students and families in whatever capacity I could before I finally opened my doors in the fall of 2023. I want to answer a little bit about what a micro school is, because if anyone is new on here and is like, what is the difference between a micro school and a private school, or a co-op and a micro school? How are these kids even considered homeschoolers? Well, we can be anything that we want to be. We really do. I would say the majority of micro schools are serving students in an academic setting, right? We're helping them with their learning. We can be a supplemental program. We can also be a full-time school option to help parents, because in the state of Virginia, you are able to educate your children the way that you see fit, which is fantastic. So micro schools are going to be very different. We can have different focuses and different serve different age groups. But it's very important to remember that the founders are the driving force behind supporting the community. So if a founder really wants to be successful in having a micro school, they're definitely going to need to serve their community. So you can get very, very creative with this, but it is a drop-off program, and it is going to be led by educators of some sort, not your traditional certified teacher educators, but most of my staff are going to be homeschool moms, which is really awesome. So I included a bunch of pictures of all of these founders. This is my girlfriend at Grace Grown Academy. She is actually in Virginia as well. I helped to start her from the ground up. And this coming year, she's going to have over 40 students. She started off her first year with one. So she is doing very, very well. But your founders are from all different walks of life with all different purposes, all different kinds of qualities and values, and just anything that they are passionate about. You name it, they do it. They come from everywhere. They're not just educators. We have lots of doctors and scientists and homeschool moms, and just lots of people. We have business people, accountants, all kinds of people that see a need for this special type of education, and they go out there into their communities and they network and they build this with the families, which is beautiful. Who are the students? I just love this one so much. So these are some of my students. They are so incredible. We started off with all grassroots homeschool families. They all intended to homeschool. They were already homeschooling and they came to us. And we started off with mostly hybrid students. And then the word started getting out that path of life learning existed. And so while we started with mostly hybrid students, now we have mostly full-time students who are coming 4 days a week. But these students are all different kinds of backgrounds, ability levels, talents, treasures, values, religions. They are beautiful, beautiful children. They make me smile just looking at them, and these pictures just is incredible. Mostly our students are very curious. They love learning. They are sponges. They are kind. They are cooperative. They're collaborative. They're passionate. They're dedicated. They are absolutely incredible. And when you have students that have had struggles in the public or any traditional school system, private as well, they come to us and they thrive. They come to us even from homeschool and they thrive. because this is an environment where kids are meant to be. They're meant to be around their peers. They're meant to be in positive relationships with positive adults that help to build them up, and other kids that are also just as excited about learning. So I planted the seed was planted. I don't know. God really had his hand on all of this. But I dreamed of 8 students in my home, and I opened with 32 students at a church. We are going into year 3. Today, I just enrolled another student. So I have 73 students right now enrolled. We are financially sustainable by tuition funds only. We do not have any government funding in the state of Virginia for these micro schools. So it is very, very important to have a sustainable model. I have received a VEOA grant when I first opened, and I also received a $500 grant as well as another prize through Fee with Carrie McDonald. But we are really, truly tuition based, and it is a beautiful thing because we know that these parents have bought in. I am personally committed to helping others to plant seeds in Virginia, especially here on the peninsula. I would love to see more micro schools here because our students really, really need more school choice options. I can't wait for more school choice funding options to come through so that we can really start serving students that need financial assistance. I've been exploring a nonprofit to try to raise funds for students within this area to choose a micro school or school innovative education option for them to choose from, whatever they choose. And then I also mentor people around the United States to open their micro schools. This is a link to the National Microschooling Center. It is their FAQ page. They have tons and tons of questions and answers about why microschooling. And honestly, this was the perfect quote. You're doing it for you. You're doing it for them. Our kids need you. If you have any questions at all, Bonnie and I both are super happy to answer them for you. But this is one of the most beautiful things that I've personally ever done, and it is the most beautiful side of education for sure.
Yes.
Wow, thank you so much, Mercedes. It's inspirational to hear what you two have done. I've got a couple of questions, but I would love for others, if they have questions, to please put them in the chat. First question I have is for you, Bonnie. Why do you is Suffolk giving you a hard time on purpose, do you think? And I know this is a subjective question, but are they putting roadblocks in on purpose, or do you think it's just this is what happens when you run into it? Every community has different regulations and so forth.
I feel in my heart, and I'll just say, I think it's just every city. I think some cities are a lot easier than others, and especially when you call when you call the city, and it's not just a school. I have found this throughout the last 30 years of living here. Everybody has a different answer. So when you call one department and ask a question, their answer is different than the next department that they send you to, and the next and the next. So I when I went up there, I explained to them, we're a micro school. We have the open door policy. We're helping homeschooled families. We're not designated a school as what some people would categorize. So they have a list, every city does, that you have to fit in somewhere. So they put that down. Well, ours was I think it was a tutoring center. But then when it went to the first round of viewing, they said, no, we've decided that you are a private school. So we're going to treat this application as such. And in my application where it says that we're exempt from licensure. They said, no, you're not, because we put you in the category of private school. You have to be licensed. So I also went and got our business license, and they said, even though our business license has our school name on there, the city didn't put the code that they want on that city license. So now I have to go back and get that straight too. So it's just every time I cross a hurdle, there's 5 more waiting on me.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've formed a number of 501c3s, which are nonprofits, and you got to go to the IRS to get it approved. And what we have discovered is that all depends on whose desk the application lands on.
Exactly.
You
And
know,
I'm a founder of Legacy of a Child. It's a nonprofit organization here in Suffolk. And I thought about opening the school under the nonprofit, but then decided to go against that because it's just faster to open it, as a for-profit school. But
Yeah.
I can't imagine if I went the other way, if it's this hard for profit, how hard it would be for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I think your answer is correct. It really depends on where you're at. There's a woman named Annette Buckley. She has Dream Tech Academy. Many of you may know her down in Hopewell. And she had a positive experience where her and her husband actually bought a house and they wanted to start the microschool in it. It was in a cul-de-sac in a neighborhood. And they went to her and they said, well, one of the problems is that your front door is not wide enough for a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
And the building inspector said, look, that regulation is really designed for adult wheelchairs. If you go buy yourself a wheelchair for a child, it will likely fit through that door. And he said, I'll pass you. So a lot of times you're going to find that the community wants to work with you and help you. I'm hoping that that's going to be more common over time. One of the things that we've talked about a lot at the VEOA is, do we try to get some legislation passed that tries to make it a little bit easier for founders to start a microschool? Maybe it streamlines it.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you talk to Don Seufer at the National Microschooling Center and others, they're very apprehensive to have states define what a microschool is, and just try to do something like I just described. Because once you put something in code, there are going to be legislators, unfortunately, they're going to want to play around with that. And they think their job is to make more laws and more rules and more regulations, and then we hamstring founders. And I believe that the microschool movement is sort of the wild, wild west of education, and I'd like to see it stay that way. Going back to the one-room schoolhouse, as they say. So, Mercedes, do you have any comment concerning that?
I do. I do. I was actually shocked when Bonnie she's currently going through it, but when I heard about what she was going through, I was shocked because I had no problem opening my micro school. There was nothing that I needed to do in York County, and it was so different. I agree for sure that I do not want to put a label on what a micro school is, because it requires us to fit in a box. And I love the beauty of the freedom to offer what your community needs and not necessarily what the state says that your community needs, because then we would just be going back to traditional education. But I do agree, like, it would be really nice if there was some way to say, hey, Suffolk, this chick is not a private school. She's not opening a private school. You don't know what she's doing, but that doesn't mean that what she's doing isn't a real thing. So I'm very disappointed. I wish that there was more that we could do to continue to support Bonnie in her dealings with Suffolk. But it is very unfortunate. It is good to know, though. I think one of the beautiful things is that this community is so tight knit, that if there were ever to be anyone else to open a micro school in Suffolk, we would already have kind of built, paved the path a little bit so that we can help them in the future. But yeah, it's really disappointing to see that they have not been extremely helpful.
Yeah, and you mentioned funding, Mercedes, and I'd be curious too, Bonnie. You mentioned you charge tuition. Can you give us a general idea of what you charge for tuition?
Sure. Tuition for 2 days per week is about 3,500 a year. And then for 4 days per week is about 6,300 per year.
Okay. And Bonnie, do you have a similar price structure?
Our choices are 3 days a week or 5 days a week. So 5 days a week is 6,500 a year.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So for some families, it's still, that's probably a lot of money, and they would need some support, scholarships, those kind of things. One of the things that we're doing is we're trying to figure out, there are a lot of scholarship organizations around the country, and they give scholarships to private schools, Christian schools, and so forth. We're talking to an organization called the Children's Scholarship Fund. It's a huge scholarship funding organization, CSF, and they've never been in Virginia until recently. We've been talking to them for about 2 years, and they would love to figure out how can we provide scholarships for homes or for micro school children. So that is in the works. I think next year we might have something there. We'll have to, they normally do we'll give you so much and then you got to match it kind of thing. So we'd have to raise more money to match it. But one of the things on the Virginia Microschool Network site is I would love to list organizations that provide grants now, not just for parents, but also for founders. You mentioned VEOA, and VEOA, I know, has given grants, a couple in Virginia. Are there other organizations, Mercedes or Bonnie, that you're familiar with that have done grants that people can go to?
There is the Yas Prize. That is the big one. That I have an application in for that right now, which would be fantastic. As far as other grants, typically you are going to have, most of the grants are going to be going toward your nonprofits, or they are going to be state specific. So there are some that are out there that are state specific, but most of them are going to be going to your nonprofits. It's much more difficult to get a grant if you are a for-profit organization.
So you're saying they're going to go to the 501c3s as opposed to an LLC.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, Stand Together has the loan program. Yes, so there is, VEOA has a loan program for founders, and Stand Together has a loan program. I have not looked into VEOA until I hear from Stand Together, because I also applied for their loan. But the interest rate was really, really great for this initial round of loans for Stand Together Trust. So a loan is good. It's not as good as a grant, but it's definitely a nice little kicker to improve our programs for sure.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about KaiPod. Explain to people what KaiPod is and how that program works.
Bonnie, you want to do that?
You want to go first since you're
Okay, sure.
mentor?
Well, it's definitely evolved. I went through the first cohort, and I will say this: we take people from idea to opening their doors and then beyond. So someone might say, like, I would really like to open a micro school, but I need all of the help. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm not a business person. I'm just an educator, or I'm just a doctor. I don't know any parts of the business. I don't know anything about education. So basically, KaiPod is an accelerator program. I say we because I now am a launch team guide and consultant with KaiPod, Catalyst, and they basically help you with a roadmap every step of the way, from marketing to financials to choosing curriculum to figuring out what your business plan is, all of those things. And then it is a revenue share program. So you are sharing revenue with KaiPod Catalyst for the first 3 years. But really, KaiPod has been so great because of the community. Many, many, many people are joining KaiPod because it's not just you go online and you read a document. The community is really great, and it takes you anywhere from 6 to 9 months to open. So from the time Bonnie joined, I think I started with her in October, and she's going to be opening in September. So, but I'm officially with her till the end of July.
Excellent, excellent.
She'll be with us from well beyond that. I'm sure.
I'm sure she will be. Sherry Payne, you have your hand up. What's your question, Sherry?
Yes, thank you. You both know me, and I've been doing this, Bonnie and Mercedes, and I've been doing this for a very long time, working with organizations. And I really was surprised to hear that you're both for profit. With all the advantages that come with being a nonprofit, why did you choose for profit? I'm very interested to find that out.
I chose for profit because through talks with some of the other beginners in KPod, it just seems, and through research, it's a much faster process to open your doors as a for-profit. Now, if there is thoughts that I have contacted our attorney and talked to her. I'm waiting to hear back, but we may turn the nonprofit into, for the school. One of the things with a nonprofit is you're really not an owner of your school. So it's the nonprofit, it's the organization that is the owner of that. And so I mean that comes with its own hurdles as well. When you put in all your work and all your effort into something, some people they want it theirs. I mean, this is my baby and my ball game and all my blood, sweat, and tears. And so I don't know. I mean, as far as the nonprofit goes, through talking to a lot of people at KPod and Mercedes, and it was just kind of balls up in the air. What do I want to do? It's quicker to do it for the nonprofit. For the for-profit. So let's get it going. And that was the original thought. Let's just do what we need to do to get it going, and then we can restructure if we need to.
Correct. I really like the way you said that, because now that I have gotten to the size that I am, and now that I'm thinking even beyond what I'm doing right now and serving more of the homeschool community and actually inviting more people to come out of traditional schooling to do something like this. Yes, you can homeschool. Yes, you can hybrid homeschool. Yes, you can send your child to a micro school. I'm finding that I want to make that possible for more kids. But and more parents, honestly, it's not just about the kids, it's also about the families, because we serve the families very, very closely, and we want them to have options for their precious children too. The other thing is, when I personally moved to Virginia, I didn't have any connections. I don't know anyone here. I don't have a donor that I can pick up the phone and say, hey, would you donate some money to these kids? I still don't have that. So I feel like a nonprofit, while yes, very good in theory, eventually down the line, once you really start having and building those community connections, is fantastic. But for me, it just wasn't something that was realistic with how quickly I wanted to get this business off the ground, and then how special and precious this is to me. Just thinking about if I were to ever, transition from this piece of the business, this micro school part of it, I really want to be able to do that with dignity. So yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but it really was the quickest factor for me personally.
And one thing I want to say too is, raising money, especially in the times that we are now, it's hard to get people to volunteer, more or less give you their money. And so that's hard. Fundraising, we at Legacy of a Child, we have tried to fundraise, and everybody, we've created some pretty awesome opportunities, and people feel like it's great and they're all excited about it, and then people can't come, or they've got this going on or that going on, and then there's always that. My passion, at some point somewhere along the way, I want there to be money, grants or whatever set aside to where people that want to come into micro schools and can't afford it, and their kids want that education, they want to learn, they want to grow, that we have opportunities, financial opportunities for them to be able to join the micro school, to be able to get that education that they want, to support the families. But everything takes money to keep the doors open and to pay the teachers and to have the programs and the supplies. So that's a goal, and one of my deepest desires is to have this open for everyone.
Yeah, and you are running a business, right?
Yes.
That's what you're doing, and you've got to you're a business person. That's, I mean, really what you are. The common phrase is edupreneur, right? You're an entrepreneur and you're an educator.
That's right.
One of the things that the National Microschooling Center is really focused on, and I think Mercedes and Bonnie, you may know this, and Sherry, is that they're really pushing for partnerships. So whether you're partnering with a church like you are, Bonnie, or whether you're partnering with a business, we are right now, there's a gentleman named Todd Hester with the Yorktown Foundation for Public Policy who is developing a business leadership organization for microschools. So business leaders can be introduced to microschools in their communities, and they may want to come in and partner with you, help provide funding for tuition, also provide potential career opportunities. We're talking to an organization on the national level about cybersecurity curriculum and support, because you may not realize this, but there's about 400,000 job openings in the cybersecurity space in this country. And the federal government is working on how do we create a career pathway for young children, K through 5 and so forth, to move into that space, because it is a national security problem. It's one of the things we're doing in the marginalized communities in Richmond. We're looking to try to figure out how can we get some of these organizations. There are about 65,000 minority-owned tech businesses in this country, just minority. So there's a lot of small tech businesses and large tech businesses, obviously. So if you're want to start a micro school in your community, one of the things I would strongly encourage you to do is approach some businesses, talk to your friends. Everybody knows people that are entrepreneurs, and they may be willing to work with you and provide you with support for scholarships and space. You may have somebody owns a big, huge warehouse, and he's got office space that nobody's using. They might. It's how we got our first office when Chris and I were first starting the work that we've been doing. Was through a donor who had extra space in an office building, and he in-kind donation. He gave it to us. So I would encourage founders to reach out to the business communities. Also, there are organizations such as Kiwanis and the Rotary and the American Legion and organizations like that in your community. Who knows? I mean, they're charitable minded. They might want to work with you. I mean, people have a passion for helping children. So anyway, I've been talking too long about that, but that is something I would encourage people to do. We had a question about the size of micro schools. Mercedes, you put an answer in there. What is Typically, I'll just say microschools can range anywhere from 3 to 100 and over 100 kids. I think there's one in Richmond called Dream Academy. It's 130 kids. Um, that's a lot of the organizations out there, like not Kai Pod. What's the one that they only support 2 to 10 kids, for example. But Mercedes, what are your comments about that? I mean, you've gotten up to 70, 73 now.
Yeah, you know, goodness gracious. I really want other people to open micro schools in my area, but how do you say no? How do you say no when people are coming to you? Like today, I had a woman crying on the phone saying my son is miserable. There's not a fight in school every day. There's a fight in his classroom every day. And this is a fifth grader. And he is just falling behind every single year because he does not want to be in that environment. And so if I could inspire more people to take the leap, that would be fantastic. We have a huge need, especially on the peninsula. We definitely have a huge need. I'm helping another young lady open another micro school in Newport News. It's going to be very small, but the more kids that we can serve, the better. And yes, 73 sounds like a huge number. I mean, it's massive. I never thought that I would be in this position. But also I told my parents, not my actual parents, but my students' parents, I told them that we will always be Christ-centered. We will always have mixed age classrooms, and we will always have a small student-teacher ratio. There will never be 20 kids in a class. There will never be 15 kids in a class. We're always going to respect that piece. So it doesn't matter how micro your actual total size is. It really matters the way that you're doing the education within your classroom or outdoors or wherever you are. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat. Go ahead, Bonnie.
So I started Royal Oak Academy, and if you look on Facebook, it's Royal Oak Academy Suffolk. And through much prayer, I know that I'm going to have a Royal Oak Academy Chesapeake, a Royal Oak Academy Norfolk, a Royal Oak Academy Virginia Beach, and that's where I see this going. And that was the desire when it first hit, that yes, there's a way that I can start a school. So, and K-Pod came into the picture. So, and another thing about K-Pod, Mercedes, is all the legal forms and things that you're not going to think of. They have the templates, they have everything, and if one person at K-Pod can't help you, there's somebody that can. And it's such a close-knit community of people that there is no competition among the cohorts. We're there to support each other. If I can help somebody, I'm going to. If excuse me, I've had lots of questions, and I've had multiple people call me on the phone with me, video chatting with me, taking over my computer if I couldn't figure something out, even something so small as my website. I was stuck on something. So somebody in our group, Mercedes group, helped me through that. I've sat in Mercedes fellowship hall with her, and she has helped me. So, Mercedes, I've been working on this for 2 weeks, and it's just driving me crazy, and she'll come right in and help out. So as far as K-Pod, I can't speak highly enough of them, and I thank God every single day that I found them, or he led me their way.
So, Mercedes, there's been a question or two about employees, and tell us a little bit about how you pay your employees.
Sure. It's been quite the journey. We started off with just 2.5 people at Path of Life when we first opened. There's a very clear difference between what a contract worker is, a 1099 versus a W-2. My teachers are not 1099s unless they come in and teach a 30-minute course on sign language or an art class or something like that. But I pay my teachers. I actually just was able to offer teachers a higher salary pay, which is very, very exciting because we are not even close to being comparable to the public school system. And that has been a very, very hard truth, especially when you're hiring multiple positions. I just added about 5 people to our team just this coming year. And I've interviewed multiple people who have turned down the position just because of the pay. This sounds really great, but I can't take that kind of pay cut. Or this sounds really great, but I still have to supplement my family's income. So that's been very interesting. But this first year, this is the first year that I'm not only being able to pay my employees a little bit higher, which is great, but I also am able to offer benefits as well, which is just fantastic. We're not all military spouses, or we're not all under our spouse's insurance. So it really is a huge benefit. But yes, I do all of my own taxes and all of my own bookkeeping, all of my own payroll. That's part of the job. And last year and the year before, I was also teaching full time. This is going to be my first year where I'm not going to be teaching full time. I'm not going to be teaching at all, which is another huge plus because it does take a lot of work to run something this large.
Yeah, I can only imagine but I mean, you're basically now the CEO of the company, and you got to figure out that tuition point that helps you break even. Um, well, this has been a really interesting conversation. And I didn't realize you had to pay them as employees. That I could see where that would make that would make it a little more complicated. Well, if you want to grow, if you want to grow into a large organization. One of the points here that Chris Allen brought up, and this is going back to partnerships. Um, we when we were first working in the education space, we ended up bringing a new school to the Richmond private school system. I think they have, I don't know how many students, 8,000 students all total, K through 12, and it's called Thales Academy. And they were down in North Carolina, and the gentleman that started it figured out this business model, and it's $6,000 a year for tuition, and it's full. It's a private school. It's not a microschool. But the point here is this: is that one of our donors where we are at the organization that we run, um, he got fed up with trying to help. The reason he got into education was because he couldn't hire people from Richmond City for his business. He couldn't hire them because they weren't educated. So he tried to help Richmond City, and he said we never moved the needle, and he put a lot of money into Richmond City. So we introduced him to Thales Academy, and Thales Academy said to him, "Look, he wanted to bring in kids from the inner city," and they said that's fine, but if they can't afford it, you're going to have to provide scholarships, and that's exactly what he did. And Tony Markel's his name. He did very well. He's now retired, but he was very successful in Richmond. And so that's an example of a partnership. So if you can find business owners like that who want to help, and the incentive is being able to hire. If you find somebody who's got a business for 20 years in a community, let's say it's Suffolk or Yorktown, and they would love to hire local kids, but they can't find the qualified kids, there might be an incentive for them to support what you're doing, because they're definitely going to be community minded. I'm guessing are these folks. So that's an example of that. Let's see here. Do we have any more questions? Somebody asked a question when they registered, and it has to do with location, real estate. I think you guys have touched on that. Mercedes, I don't know if you mentioned it. Where is your school located? Is it in a church?
It is in a church, yes.
Are you part of the church ministry? Or are you just leasing space from the church?
I am just leasing space from the church.
Okay. And Bonnie, are you part of the church ministry as are you doing the same thing? You're muted. You're muted, Bonnie.
I attend the church that I originally wanted to open the school in, but now with the another church that has contacted us. I'm not a member of that church, so it would be just leasing space.
Okay. So, and going back to real estate, I mentioned earlier, the Dream Tech Academy in Hopewell. That woman and her husband purchased a home. Obviously, they had resources to do that. So people are doing it in different ways. We're talking to a few churches in Richmond, but it would be part of their ministry. The microschool would be part of their ministry. They have a passion for educating the kids in these communities. These are very low income communities. So, and in Massachusetts, we work with a gentleman named Mike King. He runs the Massachusetts Family Institute, sort of like the Family Foundation in Virginia. And they started helping churches open up what they call learning centers. They're basically microschools. They call them learning centers in Massachusetts, and it runs the gamut. Is it part of the ministry or is it not part of the ministry? There's one in Worcester. It's about 100 kids, and it is part of the ministry. The woman that runs the microschool is on staff at the church, so you'll see this. Like I said earlier, it's the wild, wild west. You're going to see all kinds of ways that these microschools can operate, and to me, that's one of the most exciting things that exist in this education space. And I've had people tell me, oh, it's a fad. It's not going to continue. I completely disagree with that. I think that people like yourselves, people on this call, teachers, one of the more common things I hear from teachers is I got to get out of here. I just got to get out of the public school. But they want to teach. This is why they went into teaching. They didn't go in to make money, that's for sure, because we certainly don't pay our teachers enough. But anyway, I do believe this is a very fast growing industry, if you will. I don't know if that's the right word, but education space is our ecosystem is probably better. But it's going to continue to grow, and we are committed and dedicated to helping microschools start and sustain themselves in any way that we can. So we're getting close to ending here. I wanted to bring up a couple of things. On September 6th, we will be having our education summit in Richmond at the Drury Hotel. I put in the link earlier, and I just pushed out today our first email, save the date. We will be having registration starting soon on that, and we are going to have Carrie McDonald. Now, Mercedes mentioned Carrie earlier. Carrie is kind of the guru of micro schools in the country. She writes about it. She has podcasts. I put her LinkedIn link and also the link to her podcast above as well. If you scroll down or scroll up, I guess, you can go there. She has podcasts. I don't know how often she does it, every couple of weeks or something like that. But they're pretty amazing, and she's interviewing people that have done this, and the variety is amazing. So Carrie's our keynote speaker, and so she'll be speaking about micro schools and the trend going on in the country. We're going to have panels with microschool founders on it, much like we just did. We're going to have all kinds of things, and it's a day event, 10 to 4 on a Saturday. So I want to invite everybody here to please click on that link, and you'll be able to register here shortly. I think we'll have that link up in the next day or two for actually registering for the event. Um, uh, I want to give Bonnie and Mercedes the last word here. Anything you want to share with these folks?
I'd like to just say that microschools are not a fad. I think they're one of the most wonderful things that have ever come out of education. And if there's anything that we realized through COVID, is that our children were lacking and most parents didn't know. And so now we have an opportunity as a microschool to microschools across the country to take children and we don't have to educate what the state tells us to. We can expand in many, many different areas and hands-on. There's so many things that microschools do and how active we are with the children and with their families. It's amazing. It's fun. We make education come to life, and children want to come to school. They're excited to be there, and they can't wait for the next day. And we have the most wonderful parents who want to help. And so I look forward to everything that the microschool community will offer in the next coming years. I can't wait to see it 5 years from now.
Thank you,
All
Bonnie.
right, that was beautiful, Bonnie. I don't know if I can recover from that. I just want to say thank you for having us on here and allowing us and me personally to come in this beautiful state and serve these families and these kids. It's just an honor. And if anybody ever has any questions for me, or if you want to send any kids my way, I will definitely take good care of them. But thank you so much again. And yes, we are not going anywhere. Education is what we do.
There you go. Well, thank you, both of you, for this. And as Lindsay said in the chat, you're both an inspiration to all of us. So thank you very much. And I hope everybody enjoys the rest of the evening. And we hope to see you September 6th in Richmond. Everybody, have a wonderful night.